Welcome to the Brandsource Servicesource Town Hall meeting. My name is Paul McDonald. I'll be your moderator today. I'm also the service lead at Servicesource now, taking more of a lead role in the service activities for Brandsource. And today's town hall is going to focus on three of our vendor partners that are with us today. Andrew Streff from CareerPlug. Just raise your hand there, Andrew. Say a quick hi. Susan Brown from Master Samurai Tech Academy is here with us today. Jack Miller from Service Company Solutions, and James Ruston from Just Press One. We're going to let each of these vendor partners share a little bit for up to 10 minutes of their product and services, so that it comes back to top of mind for you. And if you have questions as they're presenting, please enter them into the chat box. We've got the National Service Committee on board with us today, who's monitoring the chat, and they'll try to answer what questions they can. We've got Cindy Conrad. I'll introduce Cindy quickly. Cindy is the new chairperson for the National Service Committee. Cindy, if you'd say a quick hi and turn on your screen for us so we can see you. But Sandy and the rest of the Service Committee are joining us today as well. I wanted to, before we get in, just do two quick items. One is the Brandsource Convention this summer, August 28th to the 31st. In Texas at the Gaylord Texan Resort and Convention Center. Registration is open now, and you can sign up for it anytime between now and, of course, the event. But I wanted to let you know that we're going to have a service education session there on Monday, August the 29th. We'll be doing 4 sessions. The first one is on service financials and what you should know. The second one is how to train a new hire technician. This is not how to hire them, but this is after you've got them on board and what the training program should look like or might look like. Are you delivering professional service? We'll be talking about first impressions and pricing during that event. And then lastly, to follow up with warranty service ain't all that bad. We'll be talking about that at the convention this summer. So again, that's in Dallas, August 28th to the 31st. Another event that I want to mention before we go is PSA's service convention. It's called the NASC. It's September the 19th to the 22nd in Orlando, Florida. And this is a 4-day hands-on training from all the different brands and manufacturers who will come to Florida and deliver technical training for technicians. This is a great event for you to attend. It's Professional Services Association has a special price for Brandsource members, only $475. Of course, you have to get there and you have to pay for your hotel room, but the actual training is only $475. It's 4 days packed full of all technical training and some business management training as well. So without further ado, I'm going to switch gears now. And I'll just remind you before we start with the presentations, microphones are turned off right now. We will turn them on. If you have a question, feel free to put it in the chat box, and my colleagues on the service committee will try to answer them if they can. If they can't, they'll hold it until the question and answer session, and we'll address it at that time. First up on the agenda is Andrew Streff from CareerPlug. Andrew, I'll give it all over to you for now.
Thanks, Paul. So appreciate everyone's time today. Trying to take up too much of your time here, but want to talk to you guys a little bit about CareerPlug. CareerPlug partnered with Brandsource a little less than a year ago, and the reason we partnered with them is they were looking for a solution they could provide to y'all to help you easily attract applicants, but also to make it easier for those applicants to apply and easier for you to communicate and ultimately hire those applicants. So whenever you create a job posting through CareerPlug, your account's going to already come preloaded with all the job templates, all the messaging, everything that you need to have an effective recruiting and hiring strategy. But to create a job posting, all you need to do is go ahead and click this little plus sign, select the job template you're looking to hire for, hit create job, and then we take that job posting and we syndicate it out to all the major job boards. So it's going to go to places like Indeed, ZipRecruiter, LinkedIn, Simply Hired, Monster.com, and quite a few other job boards as well. And the nice thing is that you don't need to have individual accounts for all those job boards, because whenever someone applies, regardless of which job board they're applying from, they're going to come back into your CareerPlug account under your applicants page. And then from there, we make it very easy for you to review the candidate and start moving them through predefined hiring steps. So you'll notice that next to each candidate's name is going to be this numerical score, and that's going to be a pre-screen score. So any information that you want to know prior to spending your time combing through a resume or trying to get a hold of someone, you can ask during the application, And that way, whenever they come into the system, they'll be scored. So you can know who to spend your time on and who to go ahead and deactivate. So if we hover over the score for this particular job, it's a delivery driver. If you hover over it, you can see how they answered those questions. And then from there, you're really just clicking buttons to move them through a hiring process. So if you like the candidate, you can press thumbs up, which in this case would move them to the next step, which would be for them to complete some assessments that are provided within the system. But if you don't like the candidate, you can press thumbs down, select a rejection reason, and also send them an optional rejection letter as well. So again, we want to make it easy for you to attract candidates, but also to make it easier for them to communicate with you, to schedule time with you. We have useful tools like calendar integrations. So when it comes time to schedule interviews, they can easily see your calendar and schedule a time that works. I think you'll find that a lot of tools like that are going to help to cut back and a lot of the back and forth, like, oh, I can't do 3 o'clock. Let's shoot for 4. Oh no, I'm busy then. Let's go for next Tuesday. Things like that, that drag out that interview timeline. You run the risk of them finding a job somewhere else. Also too, if we click on the candidate's name here, you'll be able to see where they are within the hiring steps. So this is all customizable. If for certain positions you don't feel like you need to do a phone screen, you can remove that section. But this is going to help you track where candidates are within the interview process. Also too, there's no additional charge for extra users. So if a store manager needs to access the system, you can give them their own login. You can change the permissions so they can just see their location. That way they can post jobs, review applicants, and you're not having to share a login or anything like that. In addition to that, you also do have access to a careers page that's completely customizable. With this careers page, if you speak with AVV Marketing, they will link this to your website. But any job posting you create will also go to this careers page. And while you might not necessarily get a ton of applicants from your careers page, I think you'll find that your best applicants are going to be coming from this. So you can come in here, change this banner image, talk a little bit about your business, and explain why someone would want to work there. And again, it's not necessarily going to be a huge generator of applicants, but what we're finding a lot of people are doing is they're finding your job on the Indeeds, on the ZipRecruiter, and they might not necessarily be familiar with your company. So then they're going to your website, they're trying to learn more, and giving them a place to learn about your business, to know why they'd want to work there and to apply is really helping to generate some great applicants. So the cost for CareerPlug is only $495 for the year. That is the BrandSource discounted rate. The regular retail rate's about $1,195 for the year. And then if you have multiple locations, it's only $300 a year for each additional location. So a lot of people are pretty stoked because they're realizing they're saving a ton of money as opposed to having to go directly to an Indeed, directly to a ZipRecruiter to post jobs. And also, since you do have unlimited job postings and you're not having to pay per click, per applicant, per job post or anything like that, you can really start to be proactive now. So all too often, people just tend to be reactive when it comes to hiring because when you're having to pay per job posting, you're not wanting to really throw away money. But I always encourage people to have job postings out for those positions you feel like you tend to have pretty regular turnover in. Helps build that candidate pipeline in case anybody unexpectedly leaves. On the flip side, if someone comes along and applies that you'd create an opening for, you're going to capture that candidate as well. So definitely make sure you take advantage of that. And
Thanks,
Paul, that's most of what I got there.
Thanks so much, Andrew. I'm going to put a plug in for Natalie Morgan, who does some awesome training videos at CareerPlug. So go to careerplug.com, sign up for their newsletter so that you get notices whenever there's a webinar that she's doing. She has awesome resources and tips and tricks on using CareerPlug. It's a great resource.
When you get into your account on the dashboard here, you'll notice help resources. We do have the live trainings, which Paul just mentioned. We have a pretty intuitive help center as well with pre-recorded trainings. And also too, we do have our hiring expert team. So if you need to talk to someone, best practices, tips, tricks, those types of conversations, that hiring expert team is a great resource that's available to you.
Perfect, thank you. With that, we'll switch over to Susan at Master Samurai Tech Academy. So we've hired our technicians using Andrew's service. Now we're going to use Susan's service to train our technicians. Susan, all yours, please.
Right. Hi, it's nice to be here, and I appreciate you guys giving us an opportunity to chat. So BrandSource came to us a couple of years ago to help with a problem with increasing profitability of service departments. And there's usually two things involved with that. One is needing to hire more techs, and the other is training the techs you already have in order for them to be more efficient, improve their first call completes and things like that. And that is what we are all about. So we offer online training and tech support. We have two primary websites, Master Samurai Tech, which is where our structured training courses are, and then a site called appliantology.org. And that's our day-to-day support site for technicians with peer-to-peer tech forums, access to service manuals. We have webinar recordings and things like that. So we're focused mostly on the courses that we offer at Master Samurai Tech. And this is a list of the technical courses we have. The first one here, Core Appliance Repair Training, is our flagship course. That is the one that will either lay all the important groundwork for your brand new tech who has very little experience, or it will fill in the knowledge gaps for your more experienced techs who really need to get more up to speed when it comes to electrical troubleshooting and things like that. Our training is, it's universal, is how I refer to it. It will train them to work on all brands and models because all the same technology is involved in all types of appliances, and that's what we teach. And we use all the different brands and models as examples as we're going through. So they start with core, and then we have advanced courses that dive a little deeper into each specific type of appliance and also gives more practice with troubleshooting, which is our focus. We really want techs to be able to troubleshoot definitively down to the failed component so they're not guessing. There's reducing callbacks, things like that. And then we do have a course for CSRs. This is our actually most recent course that focuses on training a CSR on the technical aspects of appliances and appliance repair to help them improve that communication with both the customer and the technician. And that's an important piece in trying to streamline the process from when the customer first calls to having them satisfied with their appliance functioning again. Our courses can be enrolled in individually, or we do bundle them up. BrandSource members get an automatic 15% discount as a benefit of being a member there. And I'll show you at the end how you access that. And so just to let you know that you can train your tech with all of our courses for as low as just over $1,500 with that member pricing. So it's very affordable. So a lot of people who haven't used online training are wondering, well, how does that work? How does it look? So the advantages to online courses like this is that they can log in and work on them whenever and wherever. They're self-paced, so they can work at their own schedule. They can repeat things if they need to. They're not forced to go along with the pace of a classroom setting where there's other students. So that really helps. The material is multimedia. There's quizzes and exams along the way to help keep everybody accountable. And then they can also get individual help from us whenever they do need it. So it's got that great mix of being convenient and flexible, but they do have access to us when they do need help. And we do offer certification if they meet certain criteria. So here's a glimpse of some of the lessons, just some screenshots. So you can kind of see that some of the presentations are more like a classroom presentation. And then we do mix in videos that were shot on jobs, working on actual appliances. You can see that there's some lessons do have reading with diagrams, things like that. So it's a real mix. It all depends on the material being presented. And we've been working with techs for decades, a couple of decades now. So we tend to know how they learn best. And that's what we have formatted our courses to address. And the little square in blue here is just showing an example from a quiz where we can, in this case, we've shown them a little diagram and have a question about it. So most of the quizzes as they go through are automatically graded so that they can keep moving along. But we do have in the core course, we have a couple of open answer exams, and that's where we can really see and catch any knowledge gaps at that point and work with them to make sure that they've really strengthened that topic. So that's a very brief explanation of how the courses work. And now this is how you can implement them when you've hired a tech and they may have little to no experience. And this is just a real quick overview of how that process would look. And so of course it starts with taking our courses, spend a little time each week working on them, ideally at least 2 hours a day, 2 to 4 hours a day, but it's very flexible. You can schedule this as you need to, depending on your particular situation. And then it's great to mix in the hands-on practice. So they're learning the really high dollar skill, but when they're taking the training courses, they need to understand how the technology works. They need to understand how to troubleshoot. Then of course they need to implement that with some hands-on practice. And you can add that with ride-alongs with senior techs, or giving them shop work if you have a shop where they can work on appliances. And that's awesome because then they can do some work and practice without having a customer standing by and watching. And also during this hands-on practice, they can learn easy revenue generating skills so that as soon as possible, they can at least be doing some easy jobs, or if you do any things like any kind of cleaning or maintenance on appliances as part of your services, they can be offering that and doing that for you. And then we also emphasize continuing education. So even as they're phasing out of their more intensive training schedule, they should continue to learn as they go along throughout the years. And that's where our other side, appliantology, is very useful, because they can keep learning there by participating in the tech forums and by watching our webinars. And just to point out to you, anybody who is a student at the Master Samurai Tech Academy taking one or more of our courses, they do get free membership at Appliantology. So they can start using that right away to go along with their job to support whatever they are, service calls they are doing. And then they can get free or discounted membership as they go on. So quick overview of how long this process takes to build a tech, basically from scratch. And this is somebody that you've hired that has aptitude, but no significant experience. The first few months is definitely trainee. They're doing the courses, doing ride-alongs, hands-on practice. Then the next phase is a few months that we call transition, where they can actually start taking service calls independently. Obviously, usually kind of carefully selected calls, certain types, and you're not going to be loading them up too much, but you're getting them out there, getting their feet wet while they're completing their courses, and they're still spending some time doing ride-alongs. Then after that, they enter more of a rookie phase where they've finished pretty much their formal training. They're running calls independently and just gradually ramping up to being what you would consider for your company a full-time tech. And you're going to supervise the rookies a little more than you will your other techs. And then they graduate essentially into the independent tech phase, where they, your supervision will be like basically all your others, and they'll just use continuing education to keep their skills growing and to keep sharpening them. So I wanted to point out at our website at mastersamuraitech.com, you can download an ebook, a PDF guide that unpacks everything I just said in a whole lot more detail. It's how to build an appliance repair technician. And if you go to our site, up in the left-hand corner, you'll see this for employers. And the first item there is how to build a tech. And then there's other links that are really helpful too. If you want to check us out, learn more about how we work, how you would supervise your techs while they're training with us, you can click any of these links. to learn more about that. And lastly, thank you again. And we have a landing page for BrandSource members where you can go get your discount code, and we've got a little bit of other information that you can just scan to learn more and to lead you into what your next steps would be. So it's just mastersamurai.com/BrandSource, or if you scroll down to our the footer on any of our pages, you'll see a BrandSource logo that you can click and it will take you here. So that is it. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Susan. So Andrew and his team at CareerPlug have found us these employees. Susan and her team at Master Samurai Tech Academy have helped us train these technicians. Jack is from Service Company Solutions, the Blue Book, is about to talk to us about how to deliver professional pricing through his product. But just before we go to Jack, I want to go back to Cindy. I think we got the technology worked out. Cindy, can you turn on your video now? Are you able to? And can you say hello? Cindy Conrad is the chair of the National Service Committee. I see she's still struggling, I think, to get that up. So it may not happen today, but I wanted her to say hello to everybody just to introduce her. There's a great article in this month's, the May edition of the Servicesource newsletter talking about the Service Council or Committee and all the new members that we have on board there. So I thank them and acknowledge them right now for their time and energy that has helped BrandSource get to where we are today with a service initiative. Oh, Cindy, I see you can talk.
I can talk.
Okay, just say hi to us. And
Hello, everybody. We have some technical difficulties with Zoom, I think. But yeah, I'm really proud to be a part of this, and I think it is really worthy of everybody listening to what everybody has to say so that we can all make each other profitable. It's real simple.
Thanks so much, Cindy. With that, Jack, we'll give it over to you, please.
All right, let me share my screen here. All right, so we have the Appliance Blue Book, MPH Diagnostics, and My Parts Help, or MPH Search is what we call it now. And these are tools that we've created to help service companies in improving efficiency, making sure you're charging professional prices and that, but that's not really what I wanted to go over today. Let's see if I can figure out how to make this work via that. So the tools will help you with benefits in first call completes, reducing search time for parts, and professional pricing. But I think the bigger thing is overcoming obstacles, both with the employees and staffing and with your customers. So instead of just looking at this in the sense of, here's a product we sell, it's more of bringing the knowledge into the industry of experience and different ways that you can improve customers' perceptions and employees' perceptions with using some tools from this toolbox. The idea here is that people don't like to change, whether that's your customer or your employees. Change is difficult for people. So making everyone's job easier, faster, and with some financial benefits will help motivate that change. Next, having the right tools in your toolbox and the knowledge on how to use them will help to achieve those goals. So under customers, many companies assume that it's all about the price. And what we have found is that most of the time that is false. They're more interested in getting their lives back on track, convenience, and making sure that it's done properly, they can trust you, etc. Price comes way down the list. So that's kind of what I've looked at, is to bring that to people's attention. So we found for repairs, how quick can you get there? Can you do it today? If it's a COD call, they're looking for someone that can come out right now, today, tomorrow, just depending on the situation. A lot of companies, especially if you do a lot of warranty, won't leave a block for those COD customers, even though you can charge more for that. So that's something to kind of think through, is to put it in your schedule to leave a couple of open slots for CODs, and then just move a warranty customer forward if you can't, if you don't have a customer call in. Can they trust the person that's coming in, presenting professional technicians, well-dressed, clean vans, not coming up to the door, smoking a cigarette or spitting their gum in their yard or whatever is important. So making sure that you're presenting professionally. Is the technician trained and knowledgeable? And the biggest thing for most of the customers are, my kids have a sports game tomorrow and I need to wash their uniforms. How am I going to get that done when it's broken? Again, price really isn't the relevant factor here for the majority of your customers. So it's overcoming all of the rest of this with customers that's going to make it more important. So I kind of broke this down into a few categories. So obstacles of pre-diagnosis. If you can go out in one trip and do the repair, it's going to take and it's going to improve the company's efficiency, which Paul has addressed in his cost of doing business classes. And it's really important that to try to not waste both your technician's time and your homeowner's time by having to make multiple trips if you can avoid it. So we have a diagnostics tool that can help with some of that, but whether you use our tool or not, the idea is pre-diagnose before you go out, take the parts you think it's going to take to repair it, and you're going to make both your technicians happier because they're not making second trips, and the customer happier because they're not taking 2 afternoons off of work. So also with this tool, you can enable your customer service agents with a little bit more knowledge. So let's say that a customer calls in and say, I have this dishwasher and it's not coming on, there's no power. So the CSR could go in, put in the model number, type in no power, and it's going to highlight the parts that it thinks is going to help benefit or help solve the solution on this appliance. When they do that, they could then go into whatever BMS software you have to look and see if you have that part in stock. The idea there is if you don't have what the system is kind of recommending, they could say, okay, well, I think I have an idea what it might be. We don't have the part in stock. Can we schedule you for tomorrow? Or can we schedule you for Friday so that we're not having to come out twice and have you be home twice? So the idea is you're giving them a little bit more knowledge, more power. You're not really having them completely diagnose the appliance. You're just trying to help manage time and staffing a little further by using that tool. The next one is hard to find parts. If you can't immediately find a part, are you walking away from a job? Are you leaving money on the table? So our MPH search tool gives you the ability to go to one screen, type in one part number, and search every part distributor that participates in the United States and Canada, along with all of our other subscribers who have made their inventory available to purchase. So it gives you great resources to locate hard to find or out of stock parts much faster. You're not opening, 10 different tabs. You're not calling multiple companies. It just puts it all on one screen. So that's the idea with the MPH search, again, improving efficiencies and making it a little bit easier for your customer or your staff to find it all in one place. And then the last one is pricing. So how many times have you heard, how much is that part? So I like this one a lot because with our system, we try to do it all with one repair price. It's not a breakdown. It's not an hourly rate. It is a repair rate. Your total repair cost is $230. I have the part in stock, or the part will be here tomorrow. Can I complete this repair for you? It removes all of the questions on what do you charge per hour? How much is the part? It's all driven by their specific appliance and the part that needs to be put in. So it's a fixed price so that there's no guess, and it's given to them before you do the repair. So the second question I put up here is how much do you charge per hour? As soon as you set an hourly rate, they start the stopwatch. So you eliminate all of these obstacles right up front. So the idea here is that it gives the customer the information so they're empowered to make a decision on whether or not to do the repair. They're liable either for a service charge or for the total repair, and it's their choice in what they want to do. You also have the ability to say, hey, this is over 50% of the replacement cost, so it might be in your best interest to replace the appliance instead. And they're going to respect the fact that you're not sitting there trying to gouge them for something that shouldn't be replaced or shouldn't be repaired, should be replaced. So back to the part question. Part of our history of doing things, you pick up a lot of tips. So when someone starts asking about the part price, why are they asking that? They're asking that so they can run to the internet, see if they can find it for $5 cheaper for someone who is selling it used on eBay. And then you're gouging them because you're charging a legitimate part price. So if you remove that part from the equation, then it will take and it allows you to give them one price. Well, how much is the part? We don't sell parts. It's just part of the total repair. I'm sure there's a factor in there for it. So you can't tell me how much the part is? No, we look at it like going out for a steak dinner at a restaurant. You know, do you ask the waiter how much is the baked potato with that? And when you start giving analogies like that to the customers, they start understanding a little bit more about, oh, it's just a service and here's the total price. I don't need to know how much that is. You've eliminated the hourly rate. You've eliminated the stopwatch. You've eliminated, you know, if you've got a slow technician, you're overcharging the customer. If you have a fast technician, you're undercharging the customer. This eliminates all of that by putting it into one fixed price. And again, your customer gets that decision up front. So that's the idea here, is what can we do to make this easier for the customers, to make it easier for the employees, and to get the biggest bang for the tools that are in your toolbox. And one of my normal sayings, I'm sure Paul's heard me say this a million times, if you buy a new screwdriver and you leave it in the toolbox, it doesn't make you any money. So anything that we can do to help. So that's our stuff in a nutshell. Don't really have time to do a demo with everything. So I just kind of went a different direction and let people know a lot of people use this more for presentation, overcoming obstacles than just strictly a pricing guide.
Thanks so much, Jack.
Sure.
So Career Plug found us the technicians. Master Samurai Tech Academy trained our technicians. The Blue Book and My Parts helped us become efficient and deliver consistent and fair pricing. While now, with the current conditions in the marketplace, we're doing so much warranty that Just Press One is going to help take the burden off us for that warranty processing. And Jim Rushton from Just Press One, I'll turn it over to you, please.
Yes, thanks. Good afternoon. Jim Rushton here with Just Press One. Thanks for joining. Just as a reminder, Just Press One is a business processing outsourcing company that is partnered with BrandSource to provide various solutions to your company to improve your customer experience and also your service delivery experience. So I'll cover a few items here this afternoon, but firstly, and I think most importantly, based on what Paul had mentioned, one of our core services among three is our solution we call ClaimWorks, which is an optimized service and technology solution for processing warranty claims. There are three levels of service that we provide. One is, in the event you don't have the resource, or let's say, for example, you have somebody on staff that processes your claims and all of a sudden they leave your company. Well, there's a lot of issues around claims processing, particularly when you're servicing multiple brands, because the business rules and policies vary by manufacturer. So that means claim field requirements and the information that you have to insert into those fields to get them processed and paid successfully. The interesting thing about it is that we know what all of those business rules are. So the service we provide could be as basic as we log into your business management software or the processing portal that the manufacturer utilizes, whether that's Service Power, Service Bench, or let's say with Samsung, it's GSPN. And of course, there's a lot of different portals, and that's what makes it even more dynamic and more confusing. So we log in, we enter your claims from your warranty job records. We correct all of the minor errors that we may see, including model number transpositions, part number errors, and just generally missing information. We also offer a full service claims adjudication. So we have trained in the appliance industry specific adjudicators that work on claims that when there's more advanced, or I should say, dynamic types of errors or issues. Let's say, for example, you're missing a parts purchase invoice number on a part that was purchased from your distributor. In those instances, we would contact the distributor or log into their system on your behalf with your account information and look that up and apply it to the claim so it can be processed. There's other advanced research things that need to be done. For example, let's say it's not as basic as a model number that that is invalid to the extent that maybe that entry needs to include additional information in the model to process the claim successfully. We'll look those things up and get them corrected. There are times when we would call the technician and ask them what they actually what they actually did to correct the service perform verbiage so that it will pass through the various business logic for that claim to be processed based on that manufacturer's rules. Thirdly, we're in the process deeply in development at this point of creating, from all of the claims that we have processed over the last year, which number in the thousands, by the way, an artificially intelligent middleware engine. We're also working where we have that middleware connection to the most common business management software products that perhaps you may use one of them. For example, right now we're working with ePass. And let me describe how this process works. Because we have all of this claim history sitting in this engine, or what we'll call middleware, you'll have the option, if you're an ePass or a Whirlwood user, for example, to move those claims directly into our middleware. So they'll go through a cleansing or self-correction, if you will, based on all of the history that we have. For example, the service perform verbiage may be rewritten so that it passes the manufacturer's business logic. To that extent, then those claims will move on to the processing location or portal, again, Service Bench, Service Power, among many others, where those claims will be adjudicated. In the event they require correction, we'll attempt to perform the corrections once we get the response back, and then move the end result back to your system so that you can see the final status and payment totals for those particular claims. So again, we're working on number 3 right now. We're deeply in development on that, working with the software companies to get that moving in a forward direction, if you will. The service cost for this ranges between $2.20 and $5 per claim based on the level of service that we perform. The average that we see among all of our many clients today is around $2.77, and we have a weekly minimum. And as a reminder, we also provide BrandSource members with additional services focused on managing your customer experience. So in terms of personalized front and back office support, we actually recruit, hire, and train workforce associates to be an extension of your team. And they provide basic contact center or point of contact with your customer type service. This enables you to have an extension of your team without doing all of the recruitment and worrying about all of the benefits and things of that nature. And of course, the existing marketplace that we live in today lends itself to finding, talent comes along not as easy as it used to. We also provide a technical solution where we have a bot, if you will, and she actually makes outbound calls and sends text messages to your customers. These automated responses are really good for confirming appointments, whether it's for delivery of products or perhaps service appointments, service appointment reminders, rescheduling reminders, your parts have arrived, please call the office to schedule your appointment so that we can get a technician out to complete the repair. And those services are available for, literally pennies. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, everyone else.
Thank you, Jim. Appreciate it. So we're going to now switch gears and go into our question and answer period for all of our panelists here today. If you have a question, and some have been answered throughout the session today, please unmute your microphone and you'll be able to speak once Kim gets that set up for us. And if you're not asking a question, please keep yourself on mute just to keep the background noise out. And I have put up my phone number and my email if you have any questions. Anytime throughout the year. I am on retainer with BrandSource. You're welcome to call me anytime for service advice for your service operations. Happy to do that. And David Cox asked earlier if we're going to make the slides that were presented today available. I will reach out to each of the panelists today and get their slides, assemble them and put them in the back room for us. Hopefully by the end of today, we can get that done. So without me taking up any more time, let's get to some questions and answers. Anybody out there that have a question for anybody on the panel today? I know somebody was asking about, Jack, your videos. I believe you have videos under the support section of your website, correct? On how to do different things with the product?
We have support videos under that section, but we also have demo videos just under appliancebluebook.com. There's a link right off the front page there that says demo videos on it.
Thank you. And Andrew, do you have the same videos on CareerPlug?
I'll take a look and see. Not really. I can look and see what we have in the help center as far as kind of overall videos. A lot of it's gonna be a lot more tailored towards like how to do certain things within the system as opposed to like a high level overview of CareerPlug. But I know whenever we launched, one of my colleagues did put together just a short little 4-minute video that kind of explains who CareerPlug is and how the system works. His dog makes a couple visits in the background, so I can send that over as well.
Great stuff. Actually, with I forgot to mention, I want everybody to hear this, that with Just Press One, we had a dealer on the West Coast who was frustrated, very frustrated with about 100 claims that they had pretty much given up on and were going to just write them off. But Jim and his team was successful in getting 94% of those 100 claims paid. And I believe they were all after the due date. So I'm not sure how you did that, Jim, but there is great success with the Just Press One services so far in the BrandSource membership.
It's magic, Paul.
That's magic. Okay, I believe it. Too bad you couldn't make my Maple Leafs win the Stanley Cup for the same magic. Any other questions from anybody that's with us today from any of our panelists, please? Boy, a quiet group today.
I guess we just did a really good job of explaining everything.
All of our partners are in the back room, so you can access their information there. I will try to get the slides up from the group sometime later today, if not tomorrow. Oh, I don't believe the audio is enabled, someone's saying. Kim, I don't know if we have trouble, but this is, oh,
I
Brian.
unmuted everyone.
Everyone's unmuted, so we all should be able to speak if you have a question.
Great. I don't have a question, but I have something that I'm going to try. I am going to award a couple of scholarships to our local high school for a Master Samurai program and see if I can attract technicians in my area and make some technicians for my area, because I can't do it all alone. I have 2 technicians now, and we could probably have 5 in this area to really cover our area well. So I came up with the idea of putting together a scholarship, and I'm going to contact Master Samurai to get signed up and see how I can do that.
That's a great
Awesome.
idea. Yeah.
I'm going to create technicians. It's all on us, you guys, in this whole group. The only people that are going to make this happen is us. And we have these great partners that want to be a part of this. And I think if we all would look at it like that and look at things kind of outside of a box, we can come up with some really good ideas. But I think that's one of the best ideas I've had in a long time. And if anything else, it's going to help my area because maybe one out of the two will stick around. And if I do this year after year, you know, we could end up having some technicians that maybe will move across country and maybe it'll end up in one of your stores. But we're going to try something, and that's what we're going to do next.
That's great. Yeah, one of the reasons we were so excited to create online training is it created a much more affordable way to train so that companies didn't have to be quite so worried about, you know, well, what if I train somebody and they leave? But, you know, you do have to have that bigger picture of you are adding, if everybody's training, you know, then you're adding to this pool of better trained techs. And so maybe they do move away or something like that, but the whole industry will benefit if everybody's out there trying to do their best to train.
Well, just with the people involved on this video chat thing, if we all tried it with just 2 people, that's a lot of technicians that we're spreading out through the country. And it, you know, if you teach them well and you teach them the value of being an independent, they'll want to stay with us. They won't want to jump with these, you know, big corporations that only count them as numbers, because we truly care about our people and it shows that, and that's why they stick around.
And Cindy, I mentioned that careers page earlier. You can always take that link and share it out. So like any local universities or high schools or anywhere we could possibly message or like leave a link, you can put that link there so that way they can find that job or that scholarship and apply straight to there and come into Career Plug as well. So that's a way you could also leverage our system too.
Oh, great. See, we just
Thank
learned
you.
something. We can take 2 companies that are willing to support Brand Source and the members, and we can actually make them come together to help us. That's what this whole committee is about, is figuring out things together. Because together, I truly believe we can solve these problems.
Andrew, that's a great idea. And Natalie taught me to put a link in my email signature. So every email I send every day, and there's a lot of them, has a link to our career page where people can actually click on it and pass the word around outside of these job boards. So there's lots of places, as well as your website, to spread the news, and as Cindy's doing in schools. Don't restrict your questions to just the panelists. If you have any service questions, now's the time to get them out, and we can. We've got a lot of brain trust here on the call today, so we can answer it. Just about any service question you've got. We have about 10 minutes left before we hit the hour.
I've got something I'll throw out there that we actually just discovered about 2 weeks ago. I had a meeting with my insurance company, and we've got 19 vehicles on the road, and we were able to get a very significant discount on the auto insurance by putting a Drive Safe app onto the driver's phones with a little GPS device in the windshield that gives me a dashboard of who's going over the speed limit, who's using their phone, braking hard, things like that, that I think is probably going to be spread wide mandatory on commercial accounts. But in the meantime, we're saving a pretty significant amount. So it may be something to go back to your insurance provider and ask if there are Drive Safe discounts. And the amazing thing to me is I was very, very surprised at how good our drivers are. We're running about a 98.5% score right now out of 100. So I'm very proud of them, but I think it's in the back of their mind that they know now that it's something that's being monitored.
That's a great point, Brian. When your employees know that you're watching, they are more apt to drive carefully. At the last company I was working with in Boston, they actually had alerts set up so that if an employee was speeding, the managers got an alert on their cell phones, and we would simply call that person and tell them to slow down, but it also triggered a $50 charge against their bonus for that quarter. So every time they were triggering the speeding alert, they got tagged $50 for doing it. That too helped slow folks down. But that's a great discount that you've discovered. Hopefully everybody else can take advantage of that.
Hey, Paul, can you hear me?
Sure can. Jay, go ahead.
Hey, all along the lines of insurance, is Brand Source working on, so one of my challenges is finding help because we don't offer healthcare benefits. Is Brand Source working on trying to get, I would think, as all the dealers combined, and we could maybe do a package healthcare program for employees and try to bring that cost down and make it reasonable. Is Brand Source working on trying to do something like that at all that you know of?
Great question, Jay. I'm not aware, but I will find the answer for you. Are there any BrandSource employees or region managers on the call today that can answer that question?
Yeah, this is Paul. I know that we have tested it with ProSource. I'm not sure of all the findings with it, but that there has been discussions. Yes. And then we, of course, have Gain also as a partnership too.
Yes, Gain Health Insurance.
Paul, I think we should bring that up at one of the next committee meetings, because I think that's a valuable point that we really do need to look at, because if we can save some money on that end of the fence, that certainly helps us to try to train more techs and so forth, because there's a lot of dealers that are running things very skinny, and they don't have just extra money to throw around. And so if we can save them money on one hand, maybe that'll help free up something on the other hand to try to help this technicians shortage and things.
Yeah, I agree. And we do have that partnership with Gain in the back room too. We can post that for you guys too after the call. And then there are some unique challenges. We could definitely talk about it in the our service committee.
Great.
Any other thoughts or questions on service today?
Hey, Paul.
Stan?
Quick question. I'd kind of like to see us maybe look at some retirement benefits as well. If you're going to look at insurance, you could also do that like 401k. I don't know if that's possible to do, you know, from the buying group perspective, but maybe some kind of options for us to add that to the benefits package.
Great point, Stan. I've added that to the list, and I'll get Paul and his team to look at it, and we'll see if we can get an answer. Maybe we'll put something in the next newsletter as well.
I ended up doing a simple IRA program for my employees, and it was one of the best things I ever did. It gives such great morale. It is so worth checking into some of that. I thought the cost was going to be astronomical because, you know, they're talking 3%, and I'm thinking, oh, holy cow. It ended up being chump change at the end of the day. And it's a really good benefit that my employees absolutely love. They feel like they're working towards something, and that's a great thing.
Cool. Any other tips or tricks on service?
People, don't be afraid to speak up. If you got a question, it's a great time to ask. If you're afraid to ask the question, then I did put in the chat my contact information, and I'll be happy to talk to anybody. I talk to a lot of dealers weekly, and not only do they learn something, but so do I. And that's why it's so good to talk to each other. So people, don't be afraid to speak.
Jack from Service Company Solutions was just mentioning to me that he forgot to mention the $100 discount for BrandSource members in their activation fee. So there's a great deal there. There's a deal with every one of our panelists today for being a BrandSource member. So make sure you take advantage of that.
And just a reminder, we've kind of updated the back room a little bit. So there's a section called Servicesource under programs and services. So check that out. There's a book with all our service partnerships broken out. So if you're not aware of all those are available for you too.
And the service playbook version 2.0 is also in the back room, Paul. A good 43 pages of information on how to run a successful service department. And this book was assembled by the National Service Committee over the last 2 years. This is actually the second rendition of it. And it's just so packed full of everything you need to run your business. And if you're the owner today that's listening in, make sure you hand that book off to your service manager, whoever's running the day-to-day operations. There's just so much valuable information in there.
It's worth your time, if nothing else, to look at how you come up with your cost of doing business. That was one of the first things I did after I had met Paul. And I was absolutely shocked at what my answers were. I've been in business for 33 years. I thought I knew everything, and I learned a whole lot. It made me change some things, and that equated to about a 10% gain in profit in my service department. That's a huge number.
Okay.
So when should I have?
Sure is. Stan? Go ahead, Stan.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. The
Excuse me,
cost of
Paul?
business calculator is a great tool, Cindy. Thanks for mentioning it. You can find it in the back room as well, or it's in the playbook, or you can go to codbcalculator.com. All three of those will get you to a calculator where you can put in your technician's wage, overhead of the business, the desired profit, and lastly, your efficiency. And it'll tell you what your average service ticket needs to be in order to achieve those goals. I worked with a dealer just recently, and he was off by $20. So by increasing his price by $20 or increasing his efficiency, so he didn't have to increase it, either way, he was able to achieve, or is going to be able to achieve this year, his goals of 20% in service operations. Sorry, there was a question there that I interrupted you. Go ahead.
No, Paul, I just want to know where is the playbook at?
It's in the back room, Service Playbook version 2.0.
Go to, when you're in the back room, go to services, and it'll drop down. There's Service Source. And if you click on there, there's like 8 or 10 things in there, and you'll see it.
I'm on it right now, and I actually don't see anything. So I'm wondering if it's an accessibility thing that I don't have.
If you send me an email, I'll make sure I send you a copy of it. There's my email address up just underneath my picture. paul.m.mcdonald@brandsource.com, and I'll make sure you get a copy of it. But your region manager should be able to tell you why that your access is not working properly. Sorry, Paul, go ahead.
I can look into that now. Who was that?
I don't
This
see
is
his
John
name.
over at Christie's Appliance.
Sorry, can you say it one more time? I had a beep in the background.
Yeah, that's okay. This is John over at Christie's Appliance.
Christie's. Okay, I'll check it out for you.
Thank you.
It's under services. If you haven't, like, if you can't find the right tab, it's under services and then under service source. And once you click on service source and you go in, then if you just scroll down, you should come up with, yeah, you should be able to come up with it because I'm seeing it.
Yeah, I have absolutely nothing showing. It's literally when I'm on services, I get the drop down, I go to Service Source, I click on it, and literally it is blank, just telling me that I can sort by dates, filter by brand, and it tells me right there no articles were found.
Yeah, it's a permissions issue. I'll get you set up.
Great.
Okay, thank you.
If anybody else is having that issue, don't be afraid to email me and I can get that to Paul so that he can fix that, because that's important to be able to see some of that. The service book, I was not on the committee when they did the first version. And so when I jumped in on the committee and they were working on the second version, I was really impressed with what they had done. They looked at things not just as a dealer and servicer that has like 20 plus servicers or technicians. It was a good fit for me, and I only have 2 technicians. So I'm not a huge giant store like some of the people that are on here, but it was very good at how they did it, so that whether you were big or small or anything in between, there was a lot of really good information for all of us. So even if you think that you don't want to know some of your answers, you really should go in there and look at that, because you're going to be really pleasantly surprised that a lot of it's very simple.
That's taking us on our 1 hour time limit. So if there are no further questions, I will simply remind you that the next town hall is November the 9th. Maybe want to put that in your calendars. And then, of course, the convention is this summer in Dallas, August the 28th to the 31st. And feel free to reach out to me anytime if you have service questions, or any of our panelists today. I'm sure they'd all be happy to answer any questions you might have about their product or services. Thanks, everybody, for joining us today, and have an awesome remainder of the day and week. Bye now.